All right, let's see what we can do.
All right. Hi. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
I'm so glad you flew in from
Oh,
Texas just
I
for
know,
this
just
show.
for this. This is wonderful. Hi.
I supply the booze.
Yes, and I come here.
All right.
Yes.
All righty, let's do this. We're gonna have dogs. We're gonna have maybe a few random men come through.
Hey. Okay.
Anything could happen.
Anything.
That's the joy of being on Kevjet.
It's true.
All righty. Welcome to Kevjet the podcast. It's Jessica Clemmons.
It's so good to be
round two.
I know.
Or three.
I think it's 3.
I think it is.
Oh
3.
my gosh. Do I win the award for most whatever guests?
You do.
What do I get? A t-shirt?
I think you might get a personalized t-shirt.
I love that.
I love
and
that.
You too can get this personalized t-shirt. Don't worry. We can stick your face in there too.
Maybe we'll sign it and send it to somebody.
I love that idea.
If somebody wants it.
Everyone wants it.
Get in touch if you want it. We'll sort it out. I mean, it smells like me.
Yeah, which is great. Usually.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Jess, you have an album coming out just over a month and a half from now, actually.
Do you want to redo that?
Yeah, it's coming out in October, isn't it? What day are we? So, okay.
It's February, right?
Of course. No, it's Christmas.
Mm.
So, Jess, you have a new album coming out in October.
That's right.
And it's called Jessica. Yes. Why this album being called Jessica and not any previous album?
I feel like this album, more than any of the others, it's our 3rd album. And it's all about me. I mean, it's all about kind of my growth as an artist and as I guess, the lead singer of Jess and The Bandits, which, as many people know, is The Bandits is interchangeable. We have a lot of different incredible musicians that play for the band. So really, it is kind of this. I've learned about myself. I've gotten married. I've had 2 kids, and life is very different now than it was when I did my first album, Here We Go Again. Smoke and Mirrors, I was still single. And then there was just this long period, 5-year period of growth, especially when you throw COVID and 2 years of no one doing much. And there you learn a lot about yourself in those 2 years.
Let's talk about the last year, especially because there's a new person who sat in front of me. First of all, you've gone through one hell of a transformation. To be clear, it's about getting you healthy.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, I have battled my weight since I was 8 years old. I went on my very first diet at 8, which is very sad when you think about it. I was so active as a kid. I mean, growing up in the days where you did not come back in the house until the street lights came on. So I was always out. I was swimming, I was playing, but my mother used to say that I could be put on a desert island and I would come back exactly the same because something was not clicking. And so I spent years and years dieting, exercising, doing all these things, not knowing what was wrong with my body. I had 2 weight loss surgeries that I consider failed because it wasn't treating the actual condition. And I found out I had polycystic ovarian syndrome and insulin resistance, which a massive amount of women have. They just don't know it. And so I was so happy to find out, okay, now I know I have a condition. Great. Well, now what?
What were the treatment options?
Oh, it was the same cocktail of pills for everybody. And one of the biggest things was, metformin was metformin to try to help with the insulin resistance. And then all these other pills that I'll never forget. My first week of being on them, I was in the grocery store and there was a smell that just made me sick. And I had to run to the bathroom and it was just terrible. And I was like, this is what I have to do in order to feel better. So it didn't make me feel better at all. And I just kept doing the only thing I knew to do. And that was to keep like dieting and restrictive dieting, where I would kind of go without eating specific things
Mm-hmm.
and just trying to find what was wrong. And then 2 years ago, these medications came out. Well, they've been out forever. GLP-1
Mm-hmm.
medications, they've been out for diabetics forever.
Mm-hmm.
And but insulin resistance is the stage before diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to talk with my doctor, and they put me on a medication called Mounjaro, and it has changed and saved my life. I have lost, I think it's like 4 stone, and easy. Like I don't have to do anything. That's the crazy thing is I always tell people, I say, the reason why it's working so well is because it's correcting the problem in the body.
Mm-hmm.
So the body is actually doing what it's supposed to do. You're not having to fight against it.
Mm-hmm.
So I exercise, and sometimes I chase 2 kids. So that's exercise. But I exercise, I eat healthy, and I enjoy some Prosecco, and I don't limit myself.
Mm-hmm.
And still, I'm doing really well.
Do you have a goal weight in mind, or are you just going with the flow?
Just going with the flow, because I've never been a certain, like this weight that I'm at right now. I've never been here. I think I have been here, but I was like 14 maybe. So I don't remember what it was like to be this size.
How has it changed your life, and has it changed your attitude at all?
I would say that it has changed my life in being able to feel good finally, because PCOS, you feel terrible. You have no energy. You essentially, it's like menopause, but worse. If you can imagine, like, especially women that have gone through menopause, it is terrible, and you feel terrible all the time. So to not have those symptoms anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to have the hypoglycemic issues all the time where I would just almost pass out.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't had that happen in almost 2 years.
And what is it like for being a mom and chasing the kids around?
Way better, because I have a video of, I actually am working with my doctor. They're also a telehealth company, but they are specialists. So I actually work with them, and I post videos and stuff, UGC content. It's amazing to go back and look at videos of myself even 3 years ago, and how exhausted I looked. And then to see videos of me having both kids, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, on either hip, dancing with them to their favorite songs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like unreal.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. It really is a life-changing medication. And I love as well, they're learning now that they're finding out it's potentially going to change the game for cognitive diseases like
Mm-hmm.
Alzheimer's and dementia and Parkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
And to think that this is a medication that's been out for 20 plus years.
It's always been available.
It's always been available, and now it's being treated the way that it should be, off label.
Exactly. And speaking about Parkinson's, so we can't talk about life-changing events without speaking about your dad,
Yeah.
who you lost this past year.
Yeah.
How have you been dealing with the loss of your dad, and how have you been dealing with the grief?
The loss is the biggest hole in my heart that I have ever experienced in my life. It is, you know, I might cry on this.
I am the new Oprah.
I think that I had, still weird to me to say had, like, I think my brain still wanders into the present
Mm-hmm.
tense, but it's I had the best app, honestly. Like, I go back and think about all the things that we did as kids, and but monetarily, emotionally, I'll never forget one of my first trips over to the UK, and my dad sent me an email, and I still have it, obviously, because I immediately found it and saved it. And he said how proud he was of me. And he went, I want you to know that when it comes to your dream, the sky is the limit.
Mm-hmm.
You don't tell a girl that. Mm-mm. So I took him seriously.
And you still are.
He.
And in fact, you like kicked it into high gear.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think he passed away on November 1st of 2023. And I have been grieving since differently. I have moments where I don't even want to get out of bed. And then I have moments where I just want to keep on going. And especially with kids. And, I try to make sure I'm there for my mom. We live 10 minutes from her. So we're there for her a lot. And she's actually in the UK with us right now. So it's really big to me. They were married for 54 years.
Mm-hmm.
So my biggest thing is I want to be there for her and for my boys that ask a lot, They call him
how is your
Grandpa.
mom doing?
She's doing okay. She has good days and bad days. She misses him like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They were sweethearts. That they were the ultimate of it's like couples goals. Seriously. And so yeah, she's doing well, all things considered. It's amazing that she's here with us. So I'm glad that she's on this side of the world.
I'm glad she's here, and it sort of feels like it's something your dad would have loved to join the ride of this new album.
Oh, 100%. This is the first project he's never heard. But as soon as my mom and I listened to it for the first time, the first final mixes of it, we both cried. And she said, your dad would love this. And my dad loved to travel. So he would have been here, no doubt.
100%. So, like we said, it's called Jessica. The first single is God Did Good.
Mm-hmm.
It's written by Christian Bush, Jeff Cohen, Diana Corcoran.
Mm-hmm.
Why that track for the first single?
It was really hard because the first album, all of the albums have had amazing songs on them. But this is probably the first time that I've really had a hard time picking the first single. And so to me, I knew God Did Good was the perfect single. First of all, if you listen to the verses, it's not churchy.
No.
It's talking about like you're hot and you're sexy and God did good when he made you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
Thank
this I'm glad you caught on to that. But there's just this flirty attitude about it
Mm-hmm.
that I think is a really nice introduction into this new album. And I love the idea of warming people up instead of like knocking people out with a single. And then
it's kind of like a makeout session.
Yeah.
Because the audience actually has no idea what's about to come out.
You gotta have a little foreplay.
It's so true. I've lived with the album for a few months,
you
actually.
Have, yeah.
And
as soon as the mixes were done, I was like, what do you think?
And I have to say, there are, like they say in the UK, some bangers, if not all of them.
Yeah. We've got like album tracks on there that will never be singles,
Mm-hmm.
but you need those things.
Mm-hmm.
And usually those are like the more slower.
But they are
songs.
Equally, I think the whole album is equally on fire.
I love that. That means a lot because this is a very important album for me.
So we have Don't Matter to Love, which I love. We have Kids in Love, Don't Tell Me How You Feel, Preaching to the Choir, I Ain't Wrong, Break It Down, No Pot of Gold, Truth About Lies, and One Day. Yes. Do you have a favorite song on the album?
I can't say that I do, only because they each have, it's like kids. I always say that to people when it comes to songs, because they have their own personalities. Like No Pot of Gold reminds me a lot of my dad. And I have a song that I've written about and for my dad, but I'm not ready to record it yet.
And so I was expecting that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were, and I'm not ready.
It is very soon.
Yeah. I think the next project, whether it be an album or an EP, the song is written.
Yeah.
It's written and ready. I just don't, I'm not there yet, but No Pot of Gold has this uplifting feel to it where I reference my dad and I reference this, you know, basically life can turn on a dime.
Hmm.
Things can be horrible. And then before you know it, everything's okay.
Hmm.
And that's kind of what that's about. And I think grief actually is a lot like that,
Hmm.
you know, but Kids in Love,
I know.
I love Kids in Love. I love it. I love it. I love it. We have a surprise um, duet vocalist on that one. So I think we'll wait
Yep.
before we mention who that is. But it is, it's such an exciting
And
album.
yeah, and like Kids in Love is the perfect example. It's like a fun festival love song,
Oh, it's going to be all over festival season next year.
big time.
Yeah.
And it's a radio song. I mean, most of the tracks on that album are #1 on the radio already. They have to be.
They should be.
They should be.
We need to, who do we need to talk to?
We're gonna talk to somebody. We're calling you.
That's right.
We'll send you a T-shirt.
Oh my gosh, I love it. We'll put your face on something.
This is definitely
that would be hilarious.
this is definitely the strongest Jess and the Bandits album to date.
I agree.
And it might have to do with the fact that there's been like a lot of life lessons in the last year or so.
Yeah. And I think for me, I felt really comfortable making this album because all the other albums, there was this pressure like, you have to write everything.
Mhm.
And then I started thinking about it and I was like, why? Reba doesn't write all of her songs, neither does Carrie Underwood or any of the major big artists out there. And I thought, well, if a good song's a good song.
Mhm.
And so if Christian Bush and Jeff Cohen are willing to let me record their song, why would I not?
Exactly. You're back in London, so
Mhm.
welcome back to London.
Oh, thank you.
How does it feel to be about to perform these new songs in front of a live audience for the first time?
I'm excited. That's when it comes to life. That's when all the work in the studio is worth it. And then you can see people's reactions. And that's the whole thing with God Did Good and Don't Matter to Love. I performed them at C2C 2023.
That's right.
And saw people's reactions. And I was like, I was sold on the songs.
Mhm.
But then when I saw how they liked them, I was like, yep, that's it. And so that is when, like I said, it comes to life and it's like full circle.
Yeah. It was quite exciting because I was with Jeff Cohen
Yeah,
as you performed them, and it was just an exciting moment.
it was. It was. I can't wait for people to hear this album.
So let's just get some facts here about Jess and the Bandits.
Mm.
You've literally paved the way for country music in the UK, not even being signed to a label, but most importantly to female artists, not just country music in the UK. How has the music industry changed over 11, 12 years?
Whew, a lot, especially like UK country music. It's interesting. When I first started in the UK doing country music, it was myself, the Shires,
Mhm.
Ward Thomas, and then a few kind of UK bands, very small.
Mhm.
And so much so that I'm American from Texas, and I was considered a UK country artist, which I've always taken a lot of pride in. I love that. I loved that this country welcomed me.
They embraced you. They still do.
Yes, they do. And but the scene has changed so much. It's really interesting watching. I love that there are a lot of UK country acts coming up. There are some amazing, amazing artists. But one thing I've always said is I can't wait for the day that UK country music is really UK country, like singing about their country, singing about their experiences, and not singing about American experiences, because I think that's going to be the moment that the UK begins to embrace UK country,
Mhm.
because that's natural.
It is.
You hear a song that you can relate to, and you immediately go, "Oh my gosh, I've been there,"
Mhm.
and no one here relates to the back of a pickup truck. Now, if you're American singing it, they love it
Mhm.
because it's different.
That's right.
It's American. But a UK country artist sings that, and it's like,
Karaoke.
it's karaoke, even if it's their own song.
Mhm.
And so I think it'll be nice when that really starts to show.
Yeah.
And I think there's enough talent in this country that that should be the case. And I think UK country artists should be championed.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hope that we see that more with festivals like C2C
Yeah.
and showcasing on the main stage UK artists.
Yeah. Yeah. And whether that be British
Mhm.
or people that their career is based
Mhm.
in the UK, because there's Canadians,
Mhm.
there's Europeans, Australians that are um, doing that genre, but they don't have a UK passport necessarily.
That's right. And they're not signed to an American label.
Exactly. But if they're popular in that country, that should say something.
Do you think social media and followers should determine somebody's career?
Hmm. Social media and followers.
So I noticed at C2C, for example, we're
Mhm.
talking about it, at the industry panel, some of the main labels basically said that they look at TikTok, for example.
Yep.
Does that really wind you up? Because I know it winds me up.
It does, because we were just talking earlier. I was saying to you, have you listened to Here We Go Again? The song Here We Go Again, which is the title track off of the first album. And I was like, that song is so good.
Which actually went to number 3 on the UK country
Yes,
charts.
yes. And that song is so freaking good. And it's funny to listen to it, because it's almost like I'm listening to it as a listener now instead of the person that's singing it, because there's so much time and distance there. And it really is annoying, because you're going, but this is an amazing song. And I also know the thing is that there are companies that you can hire to help with your algorithm to push things out so that you can skip the queue
Mhm.
in a sense. And now I look at artists like Alexandra Kay. I
Mhm.
use her as a reference a lot. And whether you're a fan of hers or not, she actually is a really great example of somebody that went viral
Mhm.
by just starting simple, and it's paid off so
Mhm.
much for her. So I have a lot of respect for her, and she's got a tour coming up.
Mhm.
And I've already contacted Alexandra, and I've said, girl, have me on your tour because, I think she's fantastic. But it really is that, in that sense, it shows, yeah, hard work is paying off, and she's unsigned,
Mhm.
which is even more amazing.
Mhm.
But then you've got
There should be
other,
like a big unsigned tour,
seriously.
because that's could be where the power is.
I think so. And that's the thing is, I was listening to Spotify the other day and just kind of had it on, because I was rehearsing to my own songs for the dates coming up. So it was automatically pulling up artists that are not signed. And I was like, oh my gosh, this song is so good. Next song, dang, this is good. Who is this? Never heard of them in my life. And I'm like, this is amazing music. And we're only fed so much.
Mhm.
And that's usually major artists.
Mhm. So the other part of this question is, since you are America based, you're not on the ground 365 days here in the UK. How are you going to stay in your listeners' faces and ears?
That is so difficult, because I've experienced that struggle of out of sight, out of mind.
Mhm.
The listener, it's like the interest level can go so quickly. So you're constantly feeding this machine,
Mhm.
which is exhausting.
Mhm.
So I think that's where it comes down to just being yourself.
I think there's a fine line as well because I know you, and obviously you're in America for a lot of the time. But
Which has shifted a lot
I'm on the
from how it
ground
was.
here,
Yeah.
so I see some of the same people at the same gigs, and their faces are always in. So there is a fine line
Yeah.
because that can become annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you do have to be really careful. I think in the day of content creators, I'm seeing a lot of artists that are finding something that they love and they're interweaving that into their social media, because at the end of the day people don't want to constantly be sold like, I have new music,
Mhm.
it's here's more new music and buy my new music and here's my merch. I think, I know for me, I like to learn about an artist that I really like. And Michael Bublé is a perfect explanation, like a perfect example rather of this. He is so himself
Mhm.
on TV, social media has always been like before content creators and all that stuff. And it's endearing.
Mhm.
And I think when fans feel like they can get to know you, that makes them feel more connected. So then when you do have new music, they immediately want to come back for
Mhm.
that. And so I think it's finding that way of staying relevant, staying connected to them without being annoying.
So with you being in the States and you're coming back with this new album, which is going to be a hit. I mean, I'm not saying that because I'm your friend. It's just effing amazing. Have you had any pushback from radio? Like, what is it like with the music industry in the UK when you're trying to come back and be like, look, I have this amazing piece of work and I need to share it with the world?
Get me started. When I first started, the support was amazing.
Mhm.
It was, in fact, some of these radio presenters that are still around now were little bitty, and they were they were working with other stations, or they were just trying to build their own. And I would go on because, hey, I don't care. Like, I will never be that person that says you're not good enough for me, because there is nobody that I don't, it doesn't matter if you're working your way up or coming down, I think we all work together.
You're on Kevjet, the podcast. Perfect example. I don't know if I'm on my way up or coming down.
Who knows? But depends on the day.
It's true.
But I have noticed in the last, in the last couple of years, it has been such a struggle. You go back to these people that you thought believed in you, that you thought liked you and wanted to play you, but you're not good enough anymore. Or it's that you're good enough, but you're not the big thing anymore.
Do you think it's the competition or do you think it's just a swaying of their minds?
I think it's a swaying of their minds. I think,
Because you've stayed constant in your music the whole
yeah.
time. You've never changed.
Mm-mm. No, I think it is a matter of, oh, well, it's just Jess. And instead of, oh my gosh, Jess. Now, what changes that is when someone else is like, let's just say I'm on Sky News, or I go on Lorraine, or I go and do all these things. So all of a sudden they think that you're somebody.
There's requests.
Yeah. And that's what it is. They want to be recognized with somebody's, and they may not assume that you're a somebody.
Mhm.
Well, I'm a somebody.
You go, girl. I
Take
mean,
that.
you're on my shirt.
I mean, that's it. But it is a really frustrating thing
It
because you
is.
work really hard, and especially when you have been somebody that has supported them.
You paved the way. I mean, you did.
Well, and you support them in their journey in the music industry in radio.
Mhm.
And you go on their shows and you do the interviews and you do the live sessions and you do all these things that is in the hopes of helping yourself and helping them.
Mhm.
And so then when you go back to them with the new album and they don't even respond, it's just a bit frustrating.
It should be interesting because this album is gonna knock everyone off their heels.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I mean, the proof is in the work.
I honestly, I've decided that at the end of the day, there is no radio presenter that is going to, well, I'm not going to say no radio presenter, but the people that change your life is the fans.
Mhm.
It's not that one spot play.
And that's what you're doing the music for.
Yes. And one of the most special things I've been able to do this trip is living room sessions.
Mhm.
Is I've been able to go into people's homes and perform for them and their friends and actually talk and have these conversations and realize this is where it's at. It's word of mouth.
Mhm.
It's if
Do you feel like you've kind of hit a reset and you're rebuilding again?
oh yeah, definitely. I am not the person I was. I used to be very like, I have to make sure everything I do is perfect for everyone else. In this album, I said, I'm going to make this album perfect for me. And if everyone loves it, wonderful. If everyone hates it, but I love it, fine by me.
When I first played it through, I was like, "Oh my lord, she's back."
that's that's the reaction I was hoping for because that's what it felt like recording it.
After each track, I was like, "She means business." And then the album finished, and I was like, "She's back. She is back. Like, move over."
That's what I'm hoping for because I'm not the little girl that I was when I started in this music industry.
You're not the woman you were a year ago.
No, no. Life does that to you, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's made you a different woman, hasn't it?
I am everyone. What can fans expect from you in the next year?
My hope is more living room sessions. I've fallen in love with that idea. And my hope is that we are going to be able to offer these as, people can essentially hire me to come and put on a living room session for them and their friends. And I really, really hope to tour this album.
Mhm.
It's been a while since there's been a proper tour. So my hope is that I get to tour this album and then I kind of want to look at me now sort of thing to some people because who doesn't like that feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're very excited to see what's going to happen with this album because I feel there's a rumbling, there's like big things about to happen.
I hope you're right.
And I just can't wait to see it. And I can't wait for the fans to hear it. And she's about to play London. Obviously, after this airs, you'll be playing London and Manchester prior to this airing.
Right. So I will have already played.
You would have already
and
played.
it was amazing.
It was amazing. So if you were there, get in touch. Tell us what you
Yes.
thought.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to seeing the reaction from the fans
Yeah.
when you play the new stuff.
Yeah, I think it's going to be amazing. 2025 is going to be a big year, and I think it's just going to keep going up from here.
It's all about to happen.
That's right.
You saw it here on Kevjet.
Buckle up, folks.
Let's go, girls.
Okay, let's go.
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you, Kev. She's saying inappropriate things. It's past my bedtime, and I'm okay with it.
On my phone.
That was wonderful. It was the most fun I've ever had. I mean, this thing is awesome.
That is very awesome.
You can spin in a circle and it'd follow you.
I'd give it a go.
Do it.
No pressure.
Oh wait, no drink in the picture.
I know that's what.
I have big news. On September the 5th, our brand new single, Kids in Love, featuring the Ty Herndon, is going to be out, and you guys are in for a treat. I can't wait for you to hear it. Cut!